Hello everybody, my name's Idiotic Synergy and today we're talking about one of my favourite things in all of Necromunda. I needed to talk about something to cheer myself up. Just Ogrins. Ogrins are just special and I love them. They are so dumb in Necromunda, but they're so good, yet so terrible. There is never a gang I've played. I mean, granted I've only played, 3 gangs? I've played House Corridor. I'm currently still building some of mine, but I've experimented with like Redemptionists. That was fun. I've played Enforcers, which less said about them the better, and I've played Slave Ogryn. Slave Ogryn are just joyous in design, and they're just stupid, and you can Chaos Corrupt them, and Gene Stealer corrupt them. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, but so fun at the same time. If you think that Necromunda has so many rules and you want to dumb it down, embrace your inner Ogryn, because there is not a gang in Necromunda as simple as the Ogryn gang. You are toughness 5. Life is but a dream. You've got semi-decent armor. And you just walk forward and headbutt everyone if you want, if you give them their headbutt skill. It's just joyous. There isn't much in life that I can generally say is a joyous experience, but this one is. It really is something fun. There is something really daft about having a lobo-ogryns chase an opponent round the entire map, not getting pinned and not losing any wounds, just armed with a club. It's one of life's magnificent joys, and I love Ogryn. Ogryn are brilliant, and I suggest we all play Ogryn. Or if you're new to Necromunda, give Ogryn a go at least once, because it sums up Necromunda perfectly on how dumb the game is. You can just have an army of Ogryn, and it's perfect. It is legitimately one of the most joyful experiences I've ever had playing Necromunda. Just playing Ogryn is just phenomenal. You get to headbutt people, you can, if you choose the hull skill, like you can throw people really easily. Ogryn are just such a good time. Such a good time, and yet they're so bad, and yet so good. They are the perfect Necromunda gang. The only bad thing I have to say about Ogryns is they have got rules, so we're going to have to get into them, but just from like looking at their box, you only get 2 models within this box, and it's a shame because there used to be a old Necromunda Slave Ogryn box you could buy, and it had 5 Ogryns in it, and that's all you needed for an entire gang, because Ogryns are really tough and really strong. They've got some decent gear, but my god, they're really expensive. It's just a shame that the only way to get proper Necromunda Ogryns is through this box. That does annoy me somewhat. However, my Ogryns are all Nurgle corrupted, because Nurgle Ogryns is funny. There is something really fun about having Nurgle Ogryns. I don't know why it's fun. I think it's just because the leader gets an extra wound. That's about it. Yeah, the leader gets an extra wound, which is quite fun. And they get a lot of wounds. They have a lot of wounds. They deal a lot of wounds. They are just... I need to show you the rules, because it's just happy. I'm just happy because Necromunda Ogryns are really cool, but I hate the box they're in. Though saying that, there is nothing stopping you getting regular Ogryns, or, there is nothing stopping you getting anything else. Ogryn-shaped Orgor Moor tribes work. I've seen a couple of Orgor Moor tribes before used as Ogryns. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I need to show you the rules, because I love this gang. This gang, just joyful, and yet so simple. Obviously, if you Chaos Corrupt them, they're a bit more complex, but not much. Not much. All you have to do is make sure you do the odd sacrifice and you're fine. Rules, methinks. I think we need to go into the rules. So, these are your rules for the Slave Ogryns. You got a leader, a champion, ganger, and lobo-ogryns. said, they are so simple. They are so simple in design, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't. They are so good, and yet kind of crap. I love them. I don't know why I love them, but the leader's stats is just great. Movement 5. He is a whopping 145 points, or credits, depending how you word it. But weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5. It doesn't matter about ballistic skill. Though saying that, you can still go to the trading post and black market to get yourself some guns. If I was you, I would recommend getting a flamer. Mainly because the image of an Ogryn with a flamethrower is quite funny. Especially a heavy flamer, and that is if you're really lucky with Necromunda. Get yourself a heavy flamer as an Ogryn. You just turn into like this horrific flamethrower wielding death god thing. It's amazing because it's like, aha, I'm toughness 5. You can't kill me, but I will set you on fire, and then I will headbutt you, which I did, and it's so dumb. Everything about this army is so dumb. Or gang, sorry, I'll keep calling it an army. But weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5, strength 5, toughness 5. That is, you're tougher than a quad bike. You aren't getting pinned easily. Well, you aren't getting wounded easily. Las guns, bolt guns, whatever sort of guns, they aren't wounding you that easily. The only guns that might be able to wound you easily is plasma guns, like overcharged plasma shots and like las cannons, stuff like that. But honestly, toughness 5, you're really strong. Wounds 3, so lots of wounds. Initiative 3, which is surprisingly quite good for an Ogryn, and you get 3 attacks with an Ogryn. Yeah, it's so good. You get so many attacks out of them. Yeah, it's joyful. It is a joyful experience having an Ogryn gang. Leadership 8, cool check 5, willpower 9, intelligence 8. I really want to talk about the bounty hunter they can get as well. I love the bounty hunter, but unfortunately there isn't a model for him yet. The bounty hunter is so goddamn good, and when that model comes out, I can guarantee that will be the most stupid video I will make, because the Slave Ogryn bounty hunter is so good. It's so good. Anyway, the champion, the underboss, movement 5, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 3, 4 up initiative, attacks 2, leadership 8, cool check 7, willpower 9, intelligence 9, 110 credits. And obviously there's no restriction. You can take any weapons, which is quite good. When you assist with a regular Ogryn, you gain 2 assisting, so add 2 instead of 1. Anyway, the ganger, the regular Ogryn ganger, movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 5. You get 2 attacks, initiative 4, wounds 2, but strength and toughness 5. And even the lobo-ogryns. I made a video talking about the lobo-ogryns separately, because it is the most underrated Ogryn I've ever seen. I love the lobo-ogryns. You take them as human shields, and you just get them to march up the battlefield. If they die, they die. They're only 70 credits, but who gives a shit? They're lobo-ogryns. You give them a club, you just send them up, and if they kill something, great. If they don't, who cares? They're just there to take shots. Oh dear. I had a lobo-ogryn that was just constantly on fire, but because they couldn't get pinned, it was like, yep, I'm just on fire, but I can't die. That poor lobo-ogryn managed to save me the game. He was just like out in the open, just getting shot because my opponent kept failing I think it's a willpower set. No, it's a cool check to target someone else, or is it willpower? I can't remember, but he kept failing the test to target a target that's furthest away, because usually in Necromunda you have to target the one closest, and that lobo-ogryn that was burning alive and all sorts was always the closest one to. So good. Such a good ganger. I love the lobo-ogryn. So good. And his weapon skill is 4, movement 4, strength, toughness 5, wounds 2, initiative 5. Attacks 2, leadership 5, cool check 5, willpower 10, and intelligence 10. Yeah, lobotomy is such a good skill. Such a good skill. I recommend you just bring a whole shit ton of lobo-ogryns. Even if you don't and just bring regular Ogryn, that's also a good shout. It's up to you. There's so much you can do. They are always an outlaw gang. They have limited learning capacity, can't be promoted, and if you roll a 2 or a 12 on the gang advancement table, choose any other result instead. Now, some people might be going, oh, so they can't become specialists, that's a bit shit. Well, that is, but if you roll a 2 or a 12, you can choose what they upgrade, and there is nothing more overkill than leveling up your toughness to toughness 7. One of my Ogryn became toughness 7, and yeah, just nothing could kill him. He was just this unstoppable mass of just mayhem. He would walk forward with his augmented power claw and just punch people as hard as he could. I loved that Ogryn. He was god. He was a god among men. My leader, however, kept getting hobbled. His movement went all the way down to 3. And he was the world's shittest Ogryn, but I loved him anyway. He had like a massive cleaver, so he was really good in combat. And he would just slice and dice and kill everything. It was amazing. But anyway, I should go into equipment list because you might be thinking, oh, what are their guns? They don't really get guns. They get grenades. And when I say their grenades are really good, they're really good. I recommend you take blasting charges. If you give a regular gang of blasting charges and just run them in like a kamikaze, that works surprisingly well. It really does. It's terrifying, but it works really well. And if you survive it, even better. I had a ganger that was my toughness 7 ganger. The reason he was toughness 7 is because he kept leveling up. Because I kept charging him in. He just wouldn't die to blasting charges. He was so good. He was like, yep, this is my life. Ah! Oh, such a good ganger. I love that ganger. My favourite ever Ogryn was him. God damn, he won me a few games. I still lost the campaign because I didn't really play the objective. But when the objective was like kill everyone or cannibals, this guy was to be relied on. He was so good. He was so goddamn good. Best Ogryn ever. Anyway, I might write a story about him. It's just such a dumb Ogryn. Just kamikaze people with grenades. What more do you want out of life? But their Storm Welder is a ranged weapon and it is awful. Do not use the Storm Welder. I know it looks tempting. Don't use it. Oh, but it's a ranged weapon. It doesn't auto hit, no, just don't bring it. The las cutter I would recommend, but you still need to do ammo tests. However, it's a las cutter, and you can set people on fire with it. The augmented fists, I would recommend you at least bring one. The arc welder the arc welder is the arc welder. Up to you if you want to bring it. But I prefer the augmented fist, especially if you have a brute cleaver as well. That's what my Plague Ogryn leader is running. I can't pronounce it, but an augment fist with brute cleaver, but it's a Plague Ogryn, so it's like a mutated fist, but I'm running it as an augment fist because it's Necromunda son. My Nurgle Ogryn has 4 wounds to begin the game with. It's so good. So good. You just run in and just chop people and, yeah, really go at them. The club is an underrated weapon. It's not great, but it's cheap and does the job. It gives your opponent an armor save. Basically, armor save 1 to your opponent, so your opponent gets +1 to their armor save, but if they fail, it's 2 damage. My lobo-ogryns managed to kill a few guys with that because I would just target gangers and juves. So, like, 1 wound, you get an armor save, but if you fail, 2 damage, and usually seriously injured, then you just coup de grace them because, curb stomp's funny, and then you just move on to the next one. The Spudjacker is the Spudjacker. I don't really like it. Just use a club. The axe is quite good. The two-handed axe and two-handed hammer, I don't know. I'd never used them. I much prefer having I much prefer having the fists. But that's just my personal opinion. The heavy rock cutter and rock saw, I really wouldn't recommend you take them. I mean, you can if you want, but they are really expensive. They are obscenely expensive. And points-wise, you might as well save your points and get another ganger. Because though it's great having equipment that's 100 and, 20 creds, but you can always get another Ogryn or another lobo-ogryns. And though I said that one of my Ogryn had a flamethrower, that was only because I got lucky with the black market. So, yeah, this is standard equipment they get, and honestly, just go with just go with the augment fists or pair them. Paired is really good as well, but I really wouldn't recommend this. Like these two, unless you want to try them out, then go for it. I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do, but personally, just stay with the fists. But there is something funny about an Ogryn with a rock saw, and that's quite terrifying. If I'm being honest, imagine that, an Ogryn chasing you down with a rock saw. That is honestly quite a terrifying image. Not as terrifying as an Ogryn running at you with a brute cleaver or the suicide kamikaze Ogryn. Blasting charges are solid. Demo charges are really good, but they're single use. Frag, don't use frag. The other grenade choices I wouldn't recommend. Crack's alright, grenade's alright. Frag, I just don't like. Just go with demo charges. Have a kamikaze Ogryn. See if you can kill him off before your opponent does. But that's your choice. Armor. Furnace plate is solid and it's really cheap, so always get furnace plate. It should be an auto include. It's only 5 creds, and literally anyone can take them. Armored undersuit, I would I recommend it from like the start? No. But would I recommend giving it to your leader and sergeants or champions? Yes. Yes, I would. I said sergeants. They're not called sergeants. They're called something else. Underbosses. Yes, I would recommend you give them armored undersuits. However, you can make the argument that they don't need it because they're already toughness 5. And once they get into like toughness 7 or toughness 6 territory, you're literally just being overkill at that point. Carapace armor is also quite good. Oh dear. A mate of mine was playing Ogryn and he had carapace armor and an armored undersuit on his leader. That was annoying to deal with because his save was a 3-up and he was fighting against someone that just had reclaimed auto guns. Just reclaimed auto guns, no AP. What's your save? 3. What's your toughness? 5. Oh, piss. I'm going to die. Yes, you are. But yeah, I recommend furnace plates. They're solid. Equipment. Stim slugs. Stim slugs are always a good shout. But yeah, I didn't really run equipment, so I don't know what I'm looking at. My apologies. I know I'm gonna get corrected about a whole bunch of shit. Like, actually, you should always use the Storm Welder or the Arc Welder. It's just personal preference. I mean, to be fair, you don't have to give them any weapons at all. There is nothing stopping you running an Ogryn with just no weapons, and that's also a very solid choice. Because your strength is strength 5. The AP doesn't really matter in Necromunda. It isn't like necessary. Unlike in Warhammer 40k, where you need to worry about AP, it's really not anything to worry about in Necromunda. AP doesn't really matter. But if you want like a guaranteed kill, or like a guaranteed, or an attempted guaranteed kill, I always go with Lascar. And also, setting people on fire is quite fun. But then again, if you get into like the black market, just get to a black market, because then you can buy boning swords. And Boning Swords with Ogryn is a special kind of hell that I recommend you at least do once. Yeah, the games I played weren't ever like serious campaigns. They were just trying out like daft ideas for Ogryn, and we learned that Boning Swords with Ogryn is a special kind of hell. But yeah, I highly recommend you at least give Slave Ogryn a test. And I also recommend that if you get to the black market, and if you get a high enough rating to get some of the rare weapons, try and get a concussion rifle or like a blast weapon. An Ogryn with a plasma cannon would be amazing to see. Just try something daft, because it might work out. Or an Ogryn with a sniper. God, can you imagine that? An Ogryn with a Kroot rifle. Just, yep. It'd be the worst thing ever, but if it hits, it would hit with the might of 1,000 suns. You would basically be playing orc snipers at that point. Right, sorry about that. Yeah, basically, my OBS just decided to crash. That's joyful. Anyway, I'm going to go. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you later. Remember, take care, stay safe, and look after each other. And I highly recommend you give Slave Ogrins a go. It might not win you any games. It might be the worst experience you have, but at least give it a go. That's all I recommend. Give them a go and just experience how dumb they are. Because it's a special kind of dumb. See you later.